This is a Storm Track 5 severe weather alert.
Live from the Storm Track 5 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist David Boyd. We have a serious and life-threatening situation developing. I remember seeing the live camera in Boone. I knew then that this was going to be very serious. We've never seen a storm track like this.
Hurricane Helene has now come ashore late last night, and now we begin to feel the effects of that. Meteorologist David Boyd tracking the weather as it's now pushing into our area.
I got chills just thinking about what might be happening.
We prayed. That was, the first thing we did because it was so overwhelming.
By the time I got to Hampton, there was water running all over the football field, all over the streets down here. And it looked like a war zone going off.
Just heartbreak, because that's my home. I've been there for years. Just seeing it get flooded just broke my soul.
I was standing where all of this water is just about an hour ago, and there have been several people evacuated. There's EMS officials in the water trying to get people out.
I saw houses being picked up and swept away, gas tanks, police cars. We were stuck, and we didn't know what to do.
A lot of people didn't have flood insurance, they didn't have savings, they just didn't know what they were gonna do.
You know, when you look around and everything you got is floating and turning upside down, and it just makes you stop and think, At that point, there ain't no doubt in my mind, God stepped in.
I would just go down the river trying to find people's stuff, just see if I could take it to people that have lost. Just so much stuff was lost.
Did you find anything?
I found a mailbox once and had their mail in it, and a pair of car keys. That's really all I found.
So what made you want to do that, to help people find their stuff?
Because I would just hope that if that was me, I would want people to help me look for my stuff. And I would just know that was devastating. So I wanted to help everyone I could.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all of them.
It shows me there's still hope in this world. As bad as this world is, there's still hope there. For people to come together like that, you couldn't ask for any better.
Like everybody in the community just seeing their homes and the place that they grew up in just be torn apart was heartbreaking.
I can remember getting emotional before the game, just, all these people going through all this stuff, and look how many people's here to watch us. This gave them a sense of normalcy.
We're here in Mountain City where the damage is extensive from Hurricane Helene. You can see power lines down, trees down, and even a truck buried in the creek.
Everything was so saturated that when the core of the storm hit, all of that water immediately went to runoff.
Are there folks that still need help? I assume they're still
Oh, I'm sure they are. Just been tough situations. You try to help people, and I don't know how many times you hear somebody else needs it worse than I do. Sorry.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah. It's gonna take a long time.
Well, the biggest needs volunteers. So we need any volunteers that we can get up here.
They just came in and started helping, and we've actually got more done in 2 days than I got done in the past year. So it's been a godsend. These people have been a blessing.
This is Interstate 26, Casey. This is the eastbound lane right here. And there it is. There's the Nolichucky.
My videographer and I, we were one of 2 crews heading to the hospital. So as soon as we got to that bridge before our exit, traffic was stopped. I finally got to an area where I could see what was happening, and the interstate was covered with water. There was just no way through.
As you can see, the interstate bridge right there is taken out. That's I-26. We also know another Chestour bridge was taken out.
In my mind, it's still as fresh as it was that morning. I got a call that the bridge had went out, and then they said it's Chestour Bridge. And I thought to myself, there's no way that bridge could be washed out.
Home Center, the bridge just gave here just though the bridge is completely gone and just though.
It was a turmoil situation for probably 10 or 12 hours.
I remember the wind kicked up, and it was at that moment that I realized it's the water. The water is moving so fast with so much force that it was creating wind.
You would have to yell at someone when you were 6 inches away from it because the river was so loud. It was like it was mad.
That was just when all heck broke loose. I mean, the water just came from everywhere. I think the back wall gave in. The alarms were going off. People were crying. The patients were crying.
And as the water kept coming up, even as it got up to my waist before I got on the roof, my constant feeling was, it can't get no worse than this. We've never seen this before. It can't get any worse than this.
Any able-bodied person to carry another body up, that we were carrying them up the ladders,
All them lives belonged to me. I had to get them off the roof. But I was just as scared as everybody else was. I had called my wife and kind of said, hey, we might not make it,
I think you could just hear a big sigh of relief at that point, just like we're going to make it, we're going to make it, we're going to make it.
This is a flood that is like no other. I talked with the sheriff earlier. You can probably hear the Black Hawk helicopters still flying over. This is an historic event for Unicoi County.
We knew they were evacuating the hospital. We knew folks were on the roof of the hospital, and we were trying to get around and how to get there. And then we saw where the helicopters were landing. And so we got to the back of the high school and watched the helicopters come in. And then you're seeing the Black Hawk helicopters land and people coming off one after another, people running and embracing.
It was heartbreaking to see the despair and the pain that these family members were feeling.
I'm here in Unicoi County where officials recently confirmed that there are dozens of community members missing.
There was a big group of Hispanics just kind of pleading to officials for answers that officials couldn't give because they didn't know.
It makes me upset, and I'm sorry. I'll thank you, every single one of you, what you guys can do more than what you guys are doing right now.
I would sit there at these press conferences and I'd think, wow, that could be my mom, that could be my dad, that could be my grandma.
A nurturer, that would be the word to describe her. I know my mother, she is in a better place. I know that she would want us to still, continue living, to still take care of each other, to help each other out, to continue to have those celebrations that even though it may look different, just in her honor and her memory, I know she would want that. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away, and blessed be the name of the Lord. I cherish the memories that I have with my mother. I just admire her faith, and it makes me want to be stronger in my faith as well.
I went to these mountains and sat down and cried like a baby. People that I love and care about, and I love Unicoi County, and I love the Unicoi Countyans. Why did this happen to us? Why did we have to go through this?
We're rebuilding. Is it fast? No, but we're getting there, and we're going to be better than we were before.
When I was talking with Sheriff Mike Hensley, who I've known for many years, I asked him simply, Sheriff, at this point, what does your county need the most? His answer was very simple, one word, and that is prayers. Cleanup here is going to take a long time, and they are going to need a lot of help to make it happen.
And every time you cover a flood, there's a smell of when the water goes away. and the smell that's there, and just how strong that flood smell was of the mud and the muck and everything that was everywhere. It was covering everything, and it's just that smell covers the entire region, or that entire area, for days.
We probably got $1.5 million worth of damage down here. Young man in Kingsport come home from school. He was distraught and told his mom, said, we can't go to Fender's Farm, it's been washed away. And said, we've got to do something to help. So at that point, she said, we put up a lemonade stand in the front yard.
People know them, they come celebrate there every fall with them, and they were wiped out. And he took me around on a four-wheeler, and he showed me what all was gone, and he didn't think they could ever come back.
Bonnie and I were talking, you know, we're old people, and we just decided, well, you know, this may be a good stopping point. But from that point, people started coming and telling us how much that they had enjoyed our place over the years. We would not be back together if it wasn't for the volunteers. We've had people from all over the country to be here.
How do you build back from that, and wondering, what would I do? How would my family put it back together? And how do you help them do that? How do we take the medium we have, the connection we have with viewers on air, online, wherever, and explain how much these people need help, and how do we help get it there, besides just telling their story? I've gotten to know Kelly Cloyd quite well through this. You know, she lost her husband. We've talked to her a few times, and the strength of that family is incredible, to seeing that side of the story. And then you also think about that, you know, there's still one person in Washington County that still has not been found.
We've been here since day one, and we will be here till the end until we locate those that are missing.
And I think that that's something the community hasn't forgotten and can't forget. I grew up in Washington County. I've lived most of my life in Washington County, Tennessee. And I saw my friends and family and people that I've known in my personal life getting and rallying together, people, our church rallying and being a part of the recovery. It's not just a story. This was hitting in my own life.
Late Sunday afternoon, a grand slam moment on the baseball field at Lamar Elementary.
So we saw maybe a half a dozen people get off this helicopter and be reunited with their families. The hugs, just the pure emotion of them.
We traveled as far as possible along this road in Emeryville, but beyond this community is Bumpus Cove and Little Germany. The floodwaters washed away their only road, trapping more than 24 people.
God was with us. He saved each and every one of us in this community and made sure we were safe. I was at work. I got the call to come evacuate. And when we got a few of our things and we got the cattle out of the field, my cousin Channing and his family, and then we came back, went up on the hill to my sister's, pushed water with my mom's car and our cars to get there. And then we had some elderly couples still trapped on their porches, canine dogs still trapped, and the community together that was left, that was stranded, just got together and saved those people and sat back and waited till somebody come in and got us out. Where they lived and grew up their entire lives is gone. Their home's gone, their property's gone. You can drive up the road and just stand on the very edge of it, and that's where their house was at. The land and all is gone.
We're here because our church really has a passion to help people and hands-on help somebody, not just from a distance, but really help somebody hands-on.
Without volunteers, it doesn't happen. It may take a little bit longer than we had thought, but we are still here. There is still help, there is still hope, and we will endure till we get finished the projects that we're working on.
Is it hard to stand here in your old yard?
Yeah, it is, because I gardened, and this is where I was raised. This is home, all my life. So yeah, it's different, but in time and in years, we'll get back to where we'll hopefully be able to see it again and garden it, farm it.
Today has been a very eventful and historic day. We have seen catastrophic biblical-like flooding that has destroyed roadways and bridges and put a great number of our citizens at risk, particularly along the river.
Myself and my operations officer came in at 5 a.m. that morning, and we partially activated the Emergency Operations Center. But by 12 noon, we were fully activated in the Emergency Operations Center.
By early afternoon, it became apparent that the river was going to be a problem.
Boone's the type of person, if anybody's in need, he's going to help them.
There was a woman who had a son that was missing, and so she gave us her address and said, hey, can you come and maybe get the word out about my son? Maybe someone will see him.
And him and his girlfriend and his dog got in the boat, but I don't think he realized how quickly the water had rose and how quickly the water was moving.
She was moving quick, fast, and in a hurry. And a lot of places got hit very hard, and our park being one of those places. So a majority of the developed park was actually underwater.
Things got really serious really quick. Kind of caught us by surprise because, the fact that at that point, it wasn't really raining that hard here.
They hit the bridge, is what we were told. It sucked them under, and they come up on the opposite side of the bridge. People there saw his girlfriend and Boone and the boat, but the boat at that time was upside down.
Everybody remembers the destruction that it did ultimately cause later on that evening.
The Kinzer Bridge collapsed at about 6:33.
The water was level with it when it collapsed at 60 feet.
We had made the decision just prior to that to close all of the bridges.
And then, of course, we shut down the 80-foot bridge at the dam with it being an imminent failure. There was more water coming over that dam than you see in Niagara Falls. For that dam to hold was a miracle.
What are you feeling right now, kind of reflecting on everything?
It's hard to go back. We have so much devastation across the county, so we know we're going to have to open up multiple shelters for people who are having to evacuate.
20,000 people south of the river had no means for food, water, medicine, or means of evacuation. So for a period of about 96 hours, it was touch and go.
We essentially had one ambulance on this huge island south of the river, really with nowhere to go.
We did unfortunately have one fatality. He was recovered and given back to his family on October 2nd. Always one fatality is one too many.
Someone said recently to me that they couldn't believe it was almost a year again, and I didn't say anything to them, but I thought to myself, why could I tell you it's been 100 years? I won't tell you that I have good days or bad days. Some days I cry all day. But Boone knew I loved him, and Boone loved me. I hope that his legacy, that the history goes down, is that he was trying to save someone. It's important that you tell that person, hey, I love you, and give me that hug today. And you never know when it's going to be that last time. You never know.
And I feel like at that point, that was when our healing started.
3, 2, 1.
The recovery and the rebuilding, of course, the healing of the wounds that were created by the disaster, we're going to be years in sort of completely recovering. The park, heartbreakingly, was completely destroyed.
We're breathing new life into the park the way it should have been to begin with. So we're starting from scratch, and we're going to go for the best park we can possibly.
The park rangers and the park service for the state have absolutely positively done an amazing, brilliant job.
Back when it first happened, to be sitting here and us being as far as we are, it was overwhelming. We're thinking, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get back after so much devastation? But it just proves that we'll rise. The waters rise, but so do we.
I'm Rebecca Pepin in Marion, Virginia, where the last thing they wanted was more rain, but that's what they're getting Sunday afternoon. Thankfully, the floodwaters have receded downtown, but take a look at how things looked right here on Friday.
We had a flood in 1977, and this flood was almost identical to that. The difference was the water volume was about the same, but the wind came up so quickly, and so it was just a combination of things that really made this a unique and terrible storm for us.
And you know, the next morning when you're driving around and the flood waters are still standing, you realize how much more in depth that this recovery is going to be. It's not going to be a day or two or even a month. And even then, we were hoping that we could figure out what to do in a year.
The county took the brunt of the damage here.
Driveway bridges washed out, to mobile home parks underwater. You know, houses that are, you know, never seen floods before, not even in the flood zone, were underwater. Those are the ones that really affect you the most, because those people, they buy a house and they never expect to see floods, never expect to see anything like this, and they weren't prepared.
So we are here for the long term to help these people rebuild their homes and get back to life as normal.
As far as a physical recovery, yeah, we recovered pretty quickly, but financially and emotionally, it's still going to be a while.
Something that we can do now is educate the public. We talk about knowing where to go in a fire or in a tornado, but even where to go in a flood.
Make sure you have a weather radio and make sure that it works, to make sure that you have some water on hand, and just basic survival stuff. In case the power goes out for 2 or 3 days, we may get a snowstorm. I certainly hope we never get another hurricane through here, but you just never know.
Because you never think it's going to happen to you, but it's good to be prepared just in case.
I don't think I'll ever forget the Damascus mayor walking me through town and showing me how this house was lifted off its foundation. This house split completely in half.
When Helene hit, and within a week for having the vice presidential nominee at the time for the Republican Party come here, that really opened my eyes. Like, wow, like the nation is really embracing and wanting to help what the people here were dealing with.
While the people have done an incredible job at rebuilding this community, they have not had a federal government that's really been on their side.
Shortly after Helene hit, I got a message from a neighbor of mine. Rebecca, this is unbelievable. Our neighbor, his parents got separated in the flood, and they had no idea that the wife survived until hours later.
Well, I've told everybody it's a day that I will remember forever, but it's not one that I would want to remember. But it was a day of survival.
When the house broke apart, she fell back. I just saw her go that way, and I went down the steps, water, 2x4s and everything hit me, and I hit the water. I started swimming as hard as I could. I missed the first tree, missed the second tree, missed the third tree, caught a few bushes at the back end of it, and the rip is coming together, a big waterfall down there where it ended up. I come down on the cable, come down, latched around me, took me up and rolled me in. And I thought you was getting ready to go to the airport. So I went over to the guy, he couldn't hear a thing, so I clawed his ear things off so I could talk to him. And I said, my wife's down there. And then the pilot got on and said, I hate to say it, but we're running out of fuel. It's getting dark, and said, we gotta go. So we had to leave.
And I was standing at an open wall. The wall was gone, and very swift water was coming by. And every time a log or a rock would hit the house, I think it would send me on down.
What happened after that, after we told the McMurray's story, they were blown away by the support, by the response, by the community coming together. They could not believe how many people came forward to help them, and I sure hope that was the same with so many Helene victims, because I know many people felt forgotten, but we tried so very hard to make sure that they weren't.